Every genre has a leader, but in most cases, there are at least a few franchises right on its tail. Such is not the case with kart racing. After creating the genre in 1992, Mario Kart has been several laps ahead of what little competition it's had. With this game, however, that gap is finally starting to close. This is MODNATION RACERS for the PlayStation 3, a game with a little Mario Kart and a little Big Planet under the hood, and one of the best kart racing games you can find outside the Mushroom Kingdom. MODNATION RACERS is the second release in Sony's Play, Create, Share line, following up on the aforementioned and massively successful Little Big Planet. Although they're two very different games, that marketing mantra really does capture what the two are all about, MODNATION RACERS included. Now, this is obviously a racing game, but emphasized just as much as its style of play is its overwhelming ability to create and share. One of the coolest features in MODNATION RACERS is the track editor. You can actually create your own racing courses, and everything from the layout of the track to the placement of objects is entirely up to you. The amount of detail the game allows you to work with is truly impressive, as just about everything you encounter in a pre-made course can also be used in your own creations. But the best thing about this complex track editor is that it's also simple. You don't need to spend hours working on your course if you don't want to. You can just design the track layout and let the game fill in the rest. Within minutes, you can go from creating a track to actually racing on it, and it's tremendously satisfying to actually play on a course that you created. It's deep, but it's also accessible, and frankly, it's set a new standard for all kart racers moving forward, Mario Kart included. But the customization doesn't end there. MODNATION RACERS also allows you to customize your character and your go-kart, and it does so with just as much depth and detail as the track editor. For example, there are more than 300 different mouths you can use for your character. Seriously, more than 300 mouths, and that's along with the options for eyes, nose, and clothes, skin tones, and much, much more. You see, I turned my go-kart into a cardboard box so it would dissolve in the rain. That way it's eco-friendly, and it gives my opponents a chance at beating me, albeit a chance in hell. Of course, none of these customization options would matter if the racing wasn't good. And fortunately, it's very good. Not great, but very good. Here's what the gameplay does right. The drifting and drafting mechanics work very well, and they just feel natural. You can drift around turns and draft behind other drivers with ease. And not only is it satisfying to pull off, but it also fills a gauge that allows you to use a speed boost or put up a defensive shield. In that regard, drifting and drafting are stitched a bit more deeply into the fabric of the gameplay than in other kart racers, making it as incentivized as it is satisfying. The controls are also spot on, and it literally only takes a lap or two to get a real feel for the wheel. Within minutes, you'll be drafting and drifting and taking ramps and generally burning rubber. Unfortunately, burned rubber can leave a pretty nasty smell, and on occasions, so does MODNATION RACERS. Now here's what the game does wrong. For starters, all the karts and characters are ostensibly the same. So you put in all this work to customize your ride and your driver, only to find that, in terms of gameplay, it doesn't make a difference. Aesthetic charms aside, there's not really a functional purpose to all your customization. What's a little more problematic is that MODNATION RACERS starts its engine with a sputter. Nearly 17 minutes into the game, I'd only played a single race, and that was thanks to an unnecessarily long story and lots of annoying load times. In fact, throughout the whole game, you have to deal with loads that are all too often roughly a minute long. The single-player mode also grinds its gears a bit in terms of enemy AI. No matter how far ahead you get, your opponents always seem to catch up or use some kind of nuclear weapon on you. So, although there's no blue shell effect, there's definitely a bit of frustrating rubber banding. Of course, that's only a single-player issue, and given the incredible breadth of multiplayer options, including online, 4 players offline, and the ability to split the screen simultaneously with friends both online and on your couch, MODNATION Racers gets a pass, to say the least. The list of kart racing games able to keep up with Nintendo's seminal series is short. It always has been. And although this game falls a bit short itself in terms of the actual racing, which frankly just isn't quite as sharp, its incredible customization and multiplayer options keep it right on Mario's bumper. And honestly, that's an achievement in itself. If you're looking for a great racing game with plenty of toy box qualities, an original concept, and not a mushroom in sight, MODNATION Racers keeps your foot on the gas as well as your creativity.